Is Texas A&M a sleeper to make the college football playoff? A pretty big publication seems to think so.
You are Locked On Aggies, your daily podcast on the Texas A&M Aggies, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome on in to Locked On Aggies. I'm your host, Andrew Stefaniak. Thanks for making Locked On Aggies your first listen every single day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more as the playoffs have wound down. The sports stop sporting like we want them to. But this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost for a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day all summer long. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. So, happy Friday, everybody. I know I'm pumped up. It's the weekend. Let's celebrate. 4th of July is coming up. A lot of exciting stuff coming up, ladies and gentlemen. But what I want to talk about today is Texas A&M a sleeper to make the college football playoff in 2024? Well, according to Jesse Simonton, there you go, that's it, of On3, the Aggies are. So he is a writer over at On3. This is a really well put together article. Now, if you don't disagree with what's inside it, that's different. But a great article here. But I mean, he kind of breaks down the Texas A&M team, and then he goes on to say why Texas A&M could be an SEC sleeper for college football playoff in 2024. So he said, goes on to say Mike Elko has an excellent staff. Colin Klein, Tommy Moffitt, Holman Wiggins. Although you lose Walsh Nolan, Evan Stewart, you bring in, you hold on to some pieces like Chase Basantis, Tariq Chappelle, bring in Nick Scorton, Des Ricks, Will Lee, Cassius Howell, Alvin Saunders. And then you obviously go on to say, bring back Connor Wigman, Shamar Turner, Shamar Stewart, Bryce Anderson. Go on to say all that. And then kind of you get here and what I actually want to read. Wegman needs to stay healthy, but he has 5-star talent and has flashed enough upside and toughness to lead Texas A&M to some big wins. But I want to read kind of the tail end of this. So here is kind of like the meat and potatoes of this article when it comes to his argument for Texas A&M being a sleeper for the college football playoff. And then I'll read this and I'll kind of get into my take here. I think that I agree with him, and I've kind of voiced this. This isn't anything new for me, but let's get into why here. So he says, I don't think the Aggies can win the SEC in 2024, not with some legitimate offensive line concerns and a lack of an obvious alpha at receiver. Evan Stewart would have been nice for Klein to work with. But considering their preseason metrics, their blue chip ratio, their portal additions and staff upgrades, this team is absolutely capable of exceeding its preseason win total and stealing a spot in the college football playoff. Oh, and having the toughest place to play in the country should be a boost too. So, ladies and gentlemen, where do we stand on this? So I want to share my thoughts because, I think that they are similar to what this article has to say. My whole argument, honestly, his argument is based more on roster than anything. My whole argument has been based on schedule. When you look at Texas A&M's, and this is something we've discussed a handful of times here at Locked On Aggies, as you everydayers will know, but if you look at Texas A&M's 2024 schedule, it is incredibly manageable. Because I feel good reiterating this because I know when we're going to title this thing something along the lines of Texas A&M sleeper for college football playoff, whatever, we're going to have some other fan bases in here laughing. But what I push you other fan bases to do is just listen to my arguments and hear me out. And if you disagree, that's acceptable. It's part of life. But the schedule is what I have discussed being so manageable. Texas A&M schedule, your road SEC games, you obviously play Arkansas on a neutral site. at the Cowboy Stadium. You play South Carolina, Mississippi State, Auburn, and Florida all on the road. True road games. Then, so those are your road games and your neutral site game. Those 5 games are all very winnable. I think Texas A&M is the better football team in all 5 of those games. Now, playing on the road proved to be incredibly difficult for Coach Fisher. Hopefully that's not the case during the Mike Elko era. But once again, I mean, even though Coach Fisher's gone, that reputation is still sitting in College Station. So Coach Elko needs to right the wrong there when it comes to winning games away from Kyle Field. Then you talk about go back to the home schedule. And the home schedule is what makes this schedule so manageable, in my opinion, is the games that you're playing at home. Your 4 most challenging games this season: Notre Dame is the non-conference game. Then LSU, Missouri, and Texas are all home games for the Aggies. And a great point here, once again, read that one more time. I don't want to go past it. Oh, and having the toughest place to play in the country should be a boost too. It is a boost. The question is, what will it take to make the college football playoff? Could the 12th team sneak in with 9 wins could 9-3 sneak in if it's the right 9-3? I would say if Texas A&M goes 9-3 with some huge wins and no ugly losses, no New Mexico State losses, no, losses like that, could you sneak in? And my answer is, I think there's a 15, maybe 20% chance that a team that goes 9-3 sneaks into that 12th, maybe 11th spot. But I wouldn't want to bet on it. If you want to make the playoff and you want to lock yourself in, win 10 football games. But, the path to doing so is there for this football team. And when it comes to talent, I do. When you look at the blue chip ratio, and then you take the blue chip ratio a step further and you look at the blue chip ratio with the added with the portal stuff added in, Texas A&M still a top 10 team. So my point here is this roster is talented. Yes, you lose Nevin Stewart or Walter Nolan, 2 players you would absolutely love to have on this roster. You don't. But you did a great job in the portal, adding at the secondary, adding Nick Scorton, adding players to help make this team better and hopefully help Texas A&M exceed expectations in 2024. Texas A&M's win total over at our friends on FanDuel is set at 8.5 for a reason. That means the over is 9 wins, to hit the over. And I think it's there for a reason. I think it's a very, very, very scary bet to make. That line sitting where it is. It is not that's a scary place to have the line, but still, I understand why it's set there. I think 7.5 would be too easy to take the over. I think you have to put it at 8.5. But and I also loved the point this article made about not, I don't believe Texas A&M wins the SEC. I think that I think their chances of making the playoff are higher than their chances of their chances of making the playoff are higher than their chances of winning the SEC. I think winning the SEC this year is going to be crazy with Texas and Georgia and Ole Miss and Bama. I mean, it's going to be tough until you really Elko really fully has this roster ready to rock and roll. Hopefully he'll be competing for those legitimately in a year or two, but still got to get there. So, it's Friday. Let a man dream a little bit here. And well, no, I don't. If I had to give you a chance, Texas A&M makes college football playoff, I'd say it's 10 to 15%. It's not, I'm not saying, 45% chance the Aggies are going to make it. They're going to do it. It's not a high percentage chance. But if the portal, if the offensive line is better than we think, if the additions at the corner or in the secondary are as good as we think, and Connor Wigman has this season that we believe he can, this team can overachieve, and you have not a chance at 9 wins being enough, and 10 wins will get you in for sure. So, you got to remember what the article's titled. Is Texas A&M a sleeper to potentially make the playoff? And the answer to that is yes. A sleeper, 100% they are. So, what's going to happen here? I don't know. Just reading an article like this just gets me even more pumped up for the start of the 2024 college football season. And I know y'all are with me on that. So, fans of other teams, Aggie fans, let me know in the YouTube comments. Not, is Texas A&M a lock to make the playoff? Are they a sleeper to make the playoff? Let me know y'all's thoughts on that in the YouTube comments. We're going to answer a few mailbag questions about the receiver room, their ceiling for this running back room, offensive line concerns, Terry Bussey's playing time, a lot of interesting stuff. We'll talk about all those things coming up right here on Locked On Aggies. But first, got to tell you about our friends over at eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience, the formula for winning championships, is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit, only available to U.S. customers. So, going to answer a few mailbag questions here. And the first one, ironically, it was mentioned in part of that article. Someone sent me a Twitter DM about this today. It was actually a writer for a national publication reached out and was asking my opinion on the receiver room, and it was similar to what this author actually said here about the no lack of alpha in the wide receiver room. So, I mean, and it's something I've said. I know that some aren't huge fans of this topic, but to me, it is incredibly important for this team. I'm not trying to beat the drum here, but I mean, at the end of the day, really good teams have an alpha wide receiver one. Does Texas A&M have that on this roster? I'm not saying they don't. I'm saying I don't entirely know who it is yet. I don't think anyone knows who it is yet. And for this team to, okay, you want to make the playoff, you want to hit that ceiling, someone's got to step up and do it. And you talk about who it could be, and you could sit here and make an argument for all three of your main guys. Noah Thomas, the tall guy, the guy who can win the 50-50 ball, who's going to score a lot of touchdowns. Could he be a threat on the perimeter for the Aggies to where, I mean, he's just impossible for opposing teams to guard? Sure, I think there's a legit chance that's reality. Then you talk about Jade Walker. I think he's the best, possession receiver on this team. He's a great, great receiver. But is he going to be able to be as good as I think he can be? And, I keep going back and forth on who I think is going to take that step and be the guy. Recently I've been saying that it's Noah Thomas, and I'm still there, but it's really close between him and Jade Walker. And then with Moose, I think Moose, I think you just already know who Moose is. I think he's a great receiver. He's going to make some exceptional catches. He's going to make some plays downfield. He's a great football player. I still think he has an NFL future ahead of him. I know he's a little bit older, and that makes it harder, but I mean, you never know. He's just a really good receiver, and it looks like he projects as a player that could succeed at the next level. But someone has to step up and be that guy. That's just the reality here. Someone has to step up. Who it is, it's going to be interesting. I mean, who is it going to be? Is it going to be one of those three guys? I mean, one of those guys. I mean, I think it kind of has to be. I don't know who else it wouldn't be, but I do believe for this offense to be really, really good, that one of these players needs to step up, and I think it's Noah Thomas. If you want to make the argument that it's Janae Walker or that it's Moose, I'm fine with all that. Like I said, I think it's very even between these guys, but someone has to do it. Who it is, it's not a matter of who. It just has to be someone. Someone has to do it. And I think if that happens, you have a guy that fights for 1,000 yards. I think it's going to be a huge boost for this team. The next question I have here is, what's the ceiling for this running back room? And I'll tell you what, I think this running back room has a ceiling that is, it's at the top of the Empire State Building. It's up there. The ceiling for this running back room is so high. You just have so much talent in this room. We talk about the 1-2 punch of Le'Veon Moss and Reuben Owens is going to be really, really good. And is it Judkins and what's the other guy's name? Henderson over at Ohio State? I think so. But is it that running back room? No, it's not. And that running back room is going to be one of the best I think we've seen in a long time in college football. But does this running back room for the Aggies, this 1-2 punch, or even this 1-2-3 punch, have a chance to be a top 10 running back room in college football? Sure. You've got the depth. You've got some players that have played a lot of football. You've got some older guys. You've got Owens, who's going to take his 5-star sophomore year leap. And I just think this running back room is all around in a great spot, and I cannot wait to see how good it ends up being. But the ceiling is very high. Now, this kind of leans into our next question, which is, someone asked me to rank out of 10, like my concern with the offensive line. But before I give you my number on that, I do believe that the for the running back room to hit the ceiling, if you want to hit your ceiling with this running back room, the offensive line has to be good. The offensive line has to be able to create holes, create lanes for these running backs to run through. Now, my concern for the offensive line ranked, I would say if 10 is, we're in trouble, help us, we're done for, and 0 is it's going to be a great position group, I would say I'm at a 6. 5's like, I'd say I'm a little past. I'm a little more concerned. I'm over 50% concerned is what I'm saying. Now, I do believe that you have two different possibilities with this offensive line to put together a solid group, and whichever one the staff ends up using, I think will be very serviceable. Now, and this is the sad reality of playing offensive line. It's I played in high school. If you are good, if you're good, no one says anything, and if you're bad, everyone hates you. It's the sad life of an offensive lineman, but it's the life you sign up for. And I think this offensive line is really going to make or break the season for the Aggies. And I absolutely hate to put everything, all of the season in essence, on the one group. But, I just think, like, for example, the secondary. If the secondary doesn't end up being good, your front seven can kind of help. It can help the secondary. It can get pressure and take some pressure off of the secondary. Now, so what I'm saying with the offensive line, if the offensive line isn't good, the offense just isn't going to flow well. That's just the reality. So this offensive line has to overachieve. It has to find a way to overachieve. If this unit, does not overachieve, I do believe that Texas A&M's offense is going to struggle. And Coach Clown will find a way to work around it, but you would love this offensive line to just be good. Hey, just be good. Simple solution. But I'd say my concern ranked out of 10 is about a 6. And answer that question for me in the YouTube comments, y'all. If you had to rank your concern for the offensive line out of 10, where would you rank it? Last one here is Terry Bussey playing time. I think he's for sure going to return some kicks, and I think that he is going to fight for a starting spot at corner. I've talked about if they used him as a gadget guy out of receiver few plays a game, I wouldn't be upset about it. I don't know if they're going to do the whole two-way thing with him. I don't see that happening, but I do. I see it happening in a small capacity. I don't see him being a Travis Hunter every down type of guy. I could see him playing 5 snaps a game on offense and maybe a couple as a decoy and then a couple where they try and get it to him on a jet sweep or on a screen of some kind, and figure out how to get the ball to him. But, when it comes to his play in the secondary, he's going to fight for a starting role. Is he going to win it? Not totally sure, but he's going to fight for a starting role, and that is going to be fun to watch because I think that it's very possible for Terry Bussey to win a starting role at corner, but it would be tough. It's never easy for a true freshman, I don't care how good they are, to walk in and start in the SEC. We're going to have our first conversation about the new video game and talk about the Aggies' offensive and defensive rankings. We'll do that coming up right here on Locked On Aggies. But first, I got to tell you about our friends over at FanDuel. I love sports. I love them so much. I never want them to stop. But as the playoffs wind down, we get fewer games and the sports aren't sportsing like I want them to. But FanDuel lets me keep the sports going whenever I want. All I have to do is open the app and dream up bets anytime I'm in the mood. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long. So head over to FanDuel.com/lockedon and start making the most out of your summer. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. So Texas A&M's offensive and defensive, ratings for the new college football game have come out, and I'll tell y'all, it's fun to a little reminisce here on a Friday show, but I have memories. I wasn't a huge video game kid growing up. I was a get better at baseball kid. That was kind of what I was doing when I was a kid, but all my friends had this game. I think 14 was the year they stopped making it, but I remember, and I'm 23 going on 24. So when I just remember, being 13, 14 years old playing this game, and it was so fun. I mean, it was awesome. It was a ton of fun. So I'm excited this is back. Now I do play a little bit more video games, not a ton, now that my baseball career has come to a end. We play around the house, and so we're me and my roommates are actually in the process of moving. We're getting ready to move to a new house, and we're going to have a game on our big TV. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I can't wait to play it. But the Aggies' offensive rating, was an 85, and the defense was an 84. I was a little surprised by this. I'll tell you. I was fully expecting the defense to maybe like an 87 and the offense an 84. I thought you were going to see a little bit wider gap between the offense and the defense in favor of the defense. But it seems these metrics that have run on the players and all that, like the Aggies offense a little bit more than the defense, which with the offense, I know it's a video game, but with the offensive line concerns is a bit surprising to me. But hey, maybe that's a positive sign. This video game believes the Aggies offense is going to be a little bit better than people are giving it credit for. Maybe they believe this offensive line is going to be a little better than they're giving it credit for. But overall, I think these are fair ratings for this offense and defense. And like I said, ladies and gentlemen, I just cannot wait to play this video game. Before we call it a week here at Locked On Aggies, a few housekeeping things. So I am heading to Spain for the running of the Bulls on July 8th. I will be home on the 17th. So my plan is I'm going to have some pre-recorded episodes just with some other Locked On hosts for that week, for the first week, and then probably Monday and Wednesday of the second week. And then when I get home, it'll be business as usual, back to normal. But there's going to be a lot of recruiting stuff going on while I'm out of town. So when I get back, that 18th and 19th, those episodes are going to be strictly tons of recruiting conversations. And and to catch up on all that recruiting stuff. But I just want to give you all fair warning that, that's what's going on. I'll be out of town. And I'll keep reminding everyone as I get closer to it. But I just want to, let you all know way ahead of time what's going on. And I appreciate y'all bearing with me on that. Hope everybody has an outstanding weekend. Thank y'all so much for being here every single day. Really, really appreciate it. Everybody have a great weekend, and we will see you on Monday.